Seattle Seahawks are on the clock. Their draft story has been a big story, but also this week, a very significant story this weekend, the sale of the Seahawks, and it apparently looks like they will be able to stay in the Great Northwest. Bob Whitsitt, involved with the NBA franchise, now involved with this. Let's go to Seattle, where a press conference is going on.
I'm very excited today to announce that Paul Allen has purchased an exclusive option to purchase the Seattle Seahawks football team. Paul has until July 1st of 1997 to exercise this option, and it's an exciting day for us because the Seattle Seahawks will definitely be in Seattle for the upcoming season. One of the conditions of this option is that the Seahawks immediately drop their lawsuits and that the county and the state do the same. Ken Behring still owns the team 100%. David Behring is still the president. However, as part of this agreement, we're going to be involved in the day-to-day management. And if things that normally would be day-to-day management decisions that have to be decided at the ownership level, those decisions will be made mutually by Paul Allen and Ken Behring.
Let me apologize. I made a mistake. That press conference was last night. You may have seen it with us earlier this morning on Sunday Sports Day. So Paul Allen's Microsoft computer money becoming involved here, and hopefully for Seattle fans, keeping the Seahawks in the Northwest. Chris Mortensen has been reporting on this story with us all weekend and rejoins us from Miami. Mort, what do we look for next in this Seattle situation?
Well, Mike, I think that the key thing here, and the NFL is going to really pressure Seattle, is they need to take care of the stadium situation. They've spent $300 million plus for a new stadium for the baseball team, or they're in the process of building one. The NFL wants the Seattle community to respond and build a new stadium for Paul Allen. And I think that's what will basically close the sale of this team, which will be for about $170, $180 million plus Allen assuming all the debt on that. One other issue remains, cross-ownership. Right now, it's not allowed in the NFL, even right here with Wayne Huizenga. His final sale of this team, final purchase of the Dolphins, still needs approval. It's going to be done in May probably, but that's another issue that is lingering here. But the Seattle community needs to build a stadium. The NFL is going to pressure them, or else that'll go back to Behring. Hey, and they may end up in L.A. All right, Mike, back to you.
Okay, Mort, the L.A. situation is one that the commissioner still has to deal with as far as what kind of a franchise will end up in Los Angeles, an existing or an expansion franchise. And secondly, remember, the Seattle folks have taken care of the baseball needs, a baseball-only stadium, which is on the way for the Mariners. You hear the Jet fans in the background. Round 5 is beginning. Let's look back at the last 6 picks, which put a cap on round 4 of the National Football League draft, including the Danny Cannell selection by the Jets, and Eric Unverzot, the linebacker from Wisconsin, who is heading to what may still be Seattle.
A few years ago, we did this demonstration to show how the Nissan Altima runs so smoothly. It can pass the same test as the $40,000 Lexus LS 400. But perhaps you're wondering what happens to an Altima after its owner has driven it over 100,000 miles. We're pleased to say, not very much. The Nissan Altima, the affordable luxury sedan.
I've cut it 3 times a week, but never too low. I've watered it, I've fed it, I've talked to it. Careers will be made on it. It does not fear the occasional weed or the suicide squeeze. They will spit on it, but they will wear it home. This is my yard, and you can play on it if you're good enough.
True Value, a proud sponsor of Major League Baseball and yards everywhere.
All right, what do you think about a story about how Roger Clemens has lost his best fastball?
He has not lost his best fastball, Jack.
Oh, come on, 89, 90 miles an hour tops.
95, 96, 2 weeks ago, 100 earlier this year in Detroit. He can still bring it.
Yeah, I don't believe that.
All right, wait, we can settle this real easily. Rocket, could you come in here for a second?
What's up, gang?
Jack here says you can't bring it anymore.
Oh, is that right? Can you hold that for me, please?
98. Pretty good. Pretty good. I told you there was no story.
Got it.
Thanks, Roger.
You got it, guys. Anytime.
Some pretty good players have been selected in round 5 of the National Football League draft. As you look at players like Brent Jones among the selections, you saw Kevin Green, the greatness of Lester Hayes and Mike Webster. More recent players, including Brian Cox, who is now, of course, a Chicago Bear, was a Miami Dolphin up until last year, and Ben Coates, cornerstone to the successful passing offense a couple of years ago in New England. Round 5 has begun with a New York Jets selection, taking a defensive back, and that was out of Texas Tech, Marcus Coleman. So the Jets continue to add to the defensive backfield after working on the other side of the passing game yesterday. Keyshawn Johnson was the first overall pick by the Jets, a wide receiver who is well ballyhooed. A lot of anticipation how he's going to adjust to the NFL. Sterling checked him out.
USC wide receiver Keyshawn Johnson is one of the most electrifying players coming out in this year's draft. And what truly makes him special is his desire to excel and an uncanny ability to put the ball in the end zone every time he touches it. I think one of the big things in the NFL, Keyshawn, you got to learn is a lot of people play bump and run. And people didn't play you bump and run in college. Show me one thing if you're running an out route and a guy played you bump and run man-to-man. How would you, get into your route, get off the line of scrimmage versus that type coverage?
First of all, I would, if he was inside of me, I would threaten him inside, push up, not spend too much time playing with him, get to my break. There's the ball, because you don't want to spend too much time quarterback timing and everything.
And the one thing I think that'll help that release that you just showed me is using more of your upper body strength. And the one thing you got to remember is once you get on top, if you fall, a defensive back won't catch you. But if you start to fight with him, he'll fight back. And I think one of the things, if I could use you right here as a defensive back, the setup move on the inside was wonderful, but use your upper body strength to get that shoulder. Knock him off, slide, knock him off balance. And now when you get up, you got that 2-yard area that you're working in where you lined up. You push up straight up the field. That keeps the timing and the space between you and the defensive back plant, and you get out. The timing between you and your quarterback is still there. Defensive back thinks he's got great coverage. You're wide open for a catch, possibly like you like to do it, take it the distance. We're talking about working that 2-yard area in your releases and being a big receiver like the greatest receiver ever, Jerry Rice here. Watch the violence in the 2-yard area that he works right here. That's what you're going to have to be able to do on Sundays.
In college, it was a little bit easier for me because I got the respect of defensive backs not being up on me in the bump and run. And having a situation like this, I was able to hit them, slap them once or twice. And when I had an adjustment route like this, I was trying to be as violent as possible and accelerate and get to the ball well. So hopefully, I'll be able to fill some shoes.
Another Pro Bowl receiver, Tim Brown here, and we talked about working that 2-yard area on your releases. Watch Tim run the out route and, kind of critique his performance here.
First of all, the thing that he didn't do is threaten him to the inside because Dale's giving him, giving it to him. All he has to do is threaten him to the inside a little bit, push back up at least a yard, push straight up the field, and right about here, sell him on the streak, break to the out. But right here, Dale, great closing speed, able to jump in front of the ball.
Almost comes up with the pick. And you'll be facing that week in and week out. And the one thing you have to exercise is patience and control. We talk about if you're patient enough to do those things and the body control, you can be very successful in this league.
That won't happen to me.
Well, there's one thing that's obvious from that, and from any dealings that we've had with Keyshawn, he does not lack in confidence. Will that be a plus or a minus as he adjusts to a better level of talent?
Well, not only that, he doesn't lack in confidence. I look much better sitting next to him than he does by himself.
But you look smaller.
But I'm shorter, but my upper body strength, and I think his confidence, Mike, going back to your question, his confidence is going to be a plus in the NFL because he doesn't feel right now that anybody in the NFL can cover him. What he's going to have to realize is that he listens to only the Jets personnel. Don't listen to the people on the street because they are going to put him in situations to make plays. And don't look up at the scoreboard during the game and check out to see how many the other guys in the draft have caught.
Now, I said smaller, and I was joking with you a little bit, but what about the upper body strength? And for a tall receiver, is it as much of an impact as it is for someone of your height?
Very important. He's going to have to be 2 different people on the field. He's going to have to play with a lot of violence. He's going to have to play with a lot of upper body strength to use his hands. And I don't think he uses his hands enough. I think once he learns how to use his hands, once he learns how to get a little more violent in and out of his breaks and coming off the line versus that bump, he's going to be the deal with.
Strength also in holding on to the ball when guys are trying to knock it away?
Definitely, because that's the one thing that everybody's trying to do. If they can cause a turnover on defense, then that gives the offense the ball.
When you have coaches like Marty Schottenheimer who walks around as the Chiefs warm up, trying to knock the ball out of guys' hands to just impress the importance of the turnover and winning the turnover battle. Keyshawn Johnson, star already, got all good press in the Sunday morning papers in New York. He's the future of the Jets.